Hi there, Christian. So it's nice to see this set of essays. Let's see what you wrote. This is the rainfall in the three areas. Let's see what you said. This line graph represents the quantity of rain in 3 different countries of the United Kingdom during 2018. Overall, precipitation fluctuated highly during the year. No country had the same rainfall for 2 months in a row. Precipitation fluctuated between 20 ml to 140 ml. Okay, well, the first part of the sentence is correct. The second part I would not say is correct, because look what happened here in Wales. Okay, you did have a period of stability there. And I would not have put this piece of data there. It doesn't really belong in an overview. Generally, the overview should just highlight the main thing you see, the most obvious thing, the main trend. So absolutely, it's that overall precipitation fluctuated highly during the year. I think that if you had to say something about this to give some sort of specific information, you probably would have said that England had less fluctuation than the other 2 countries. Okay, that would have been appropriate to talk about. But the rest of your overview I would have left out, okay? So let's move on. Firstly, Wales is the driest country. I don't know what happened with this here. For 8 of 12 months, it had less precipitation than the other 2. Is that so? Wales. Really? Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay. Moreover, Scotland and Wales reached ED, the lowest rainfall, roughly 20 ml, in February and April, respectively. All right, let's move on. Secondly, half of the year, the country with more water, was England, whereas the highest amount of rainfall was reached in March by Scotland and in July by Wales, approximately 140 ml both. Okay, therefore, England's apostrophe S rain fluctuated less than the others. I don't know why that gets a therefore. The narrowest difference happened in July when the rainfall was roughly 120, 135, and 140 for Wales, England, and Scotland respectively, and the largest increase, we don't start sentences with and. The largest increase occurred from 20 in February to 140 in March in Scotland. Okay. I found this kind of hard to follow, not because of your grammar, not because of your vocabulary, but because of the way you organized your information. I really felt like it wasn't, it lacked logical organization of ideas. Okay. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can organize this answer, okay? One way to do it is to just talk about each country on its own. So one thing that would make sense is to start by talking about Scotland, since it started out the year with the highest rainfall, okay? So you can talk about that. You can talk about how for the first third of the year, it had these, this major volatility. And then for the next few months, it continued to fluctuate, although not as widely. So then you can talk about ranges. You could say that it fluctuated from around 75 to its second peak at 130 in October. Okay? And then you can talk about those last 2 months, and then you're done with Scotland. Then you could talk about England. You can say that England also fluctuated, but not nearly as widely as the other 2 countries. It started out here, it had a low up here, it had 3 peaks here, and that's it. Okay, you're done with England. And then, of course, you could go about Wales in a similar fashion. That's one way I think is a good way to do this. It's really clear this way, and then the other person reading this can kind of visualize what it is that you see and what you're trying to describe. So that's a decent way to organize this. Are there other ways? Yeah, of course. Another way you could do it is to just break down the year in, for example, in thirds or in quarters or in any way that you think makes sense. That gets a little complicated, so I think the first way is probably the easiest, but you did need to do a little more work here in the description. Like I said, I felt like you just kind of haphazardly just selected some information, so I wasn't really thrilled with the organization of this, okay? All right, but let's move on. Let's take a look at your task 2. Ooh, 250, really? Okay, let's see what you wrote. Extended business hours, positive or negative, okay. Global leaders have debated about changes in retail working hours. Customers see the benefits. The benefits of what? You didn't tell us the benefits. You just said the changes. It could be fewer working hours. So make sure that it's clear what these benefits are of what. While workers have a detrimental effect, customers see the benefits while workers have a detrimental effect on their working conditions. That's the wrong word here, I feel. I will discuss both perspectives and assess double S if the change is beneficial or not for the whole of society. Okay, so there's some problems. Again, like I said, it wasn't really clear that you're talking about these extended business hours. You never mentioned it, okay, or even tried to rephrase it. And then I don't suggest you do this. Don't say that you will discuss both perspectives and then assess. So don't leave me guessing what your position is until the end. It's really important that you say it here in your introduction. Let me explain to you why. Okay, I'm sure you've seen this before. It's the public band descriptors for task 2. Take a look at band 7, task achievement. What does it say? The second thing here, it says, presents a clear position throughout the response. So some kind of tricky, not tricky, but like not kind of vague words here. So clear position. What is your clear position? The clear position is your response to whatever that command is. So if they're saying to what extent do you agree, if they're saying, you know, what's your opinion, if they're saying advantages, disadvantages, you need to address that and make it clear throughout the essay. So what does throughout mean? It means from the beginning to the end. So then the question is, well, how do you make your position or your answer to that question clear from the beginning? The best way you can do it is to just address it in the introduction. So say what it is. Don't leave the examiner guessing. You know, it's not like a surprise or anything. You need to just state it clearly that, look, this is my view. All right, there you are. Oops, okay. So, all right. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that customers enjoy having more opportunities to shop with more working hours, comma, clients, S, can go shopping at any time they want. For example, recent studies by Harvard showed that 80% of clients, S, go shopping in non-regular working hours. Therefore, if those hours are extended, ED, they will benefit. On the other hand, although there is a case for clients' benefits, apostrophe, keep using the word client. Can you use another word? Consumers, customers, shoppers, citizens, something, okay? The impact on working conditions cannot be overstated. Okay, why? Why can it not be overstated? So go into that in detail. Moreover, comma, working so late reduces S, the amount of hours that workers can see their families, and all cities are riskier at those late hours. For instance, if you could have a job with the same earnings, the majority would prefer to work on normal hours. I don't see how that's a for instance. How does this connect to anything you just said? So this example isn't a strong example here. Hence, most workers do not like that their working hours increase or change to a later schedule. Yeah, so this paragraph needs a little work. It needs to be properly supported and properly developed. It is missing that. Okay. Anytime you have a main idea, okay, one of your points here for your arguments, you need to back it up with some sort of support. So that was missing. Let's get your conclusion. In conclusion, both have opposite impacts in different groups, impacts on different groups of the society. In my opinion, both are right, and the best solution is to put a limit on business hours or state a mandatory higher wage for all workers that do jobs in non-regular working hours. In the future, I hope most Most evening, get rid of the of and get rid of the s. Most evening and night jobs will be done by robots, and humans will have better working conditions. Okay, so like I said, I think both of your paragraphs here needed more development. One way that you can know that they need more development is look at the length of your paragraphs. Your conclusion was actually longer than your first body paragraph, and that for me is a no-no. You really need to focus on your body paragraphs, on developing them, on making them richer and more detailed, and you should treat your introduction and your conclusion really as a formality, as something that you have to do, and they do, of course, play a role, and they do have a specific purpose, but I don't want you to put your emphasis there. Your emphasis needs to be on these two paragraphs, okay? Like, for example, this thing about robots, I probably wouldn't have talked about it. You're introducing this whole brand new element to this essay that doesn't really belong in your conclusion. Anytime you want to mention something new, it should be done in your body paragraphs, but definitely not here. So something a little more relevant to what you just said would have been more appropriate. Something like in the future, I hope that all people will have working conditions that are humane and respectful of their rights. That's a little more general and a little more appropriate considering what you wrote here. Another problem that I see is that you never really answered the question. It says, is it a positive or negative development? To what extent do you support it? All you really said is that they both are right. So that's not what they asked you. They asked you, is it positive or negative? So you need to say it has both positives and negatives, or it has some negatives, but on the whole, I think society will benefit. I think that there'll be more income, or I don't know. But you needed to take a stand here, at least, if not like 100% in favor of something, at least like 51% in favor of one of these two points of view. Okay, so this definitely needed some adjustments. All right, so go ahead, revise both these essays, and let's see what you write for us in your next set. Okay, good luck.